begun.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. I am not there today, so I am going to have our wonderful Mayor Pro Tem, Councilwoman Bryant Ward, take this meeting. I will still participate from afar, so whenever you are ready, Mayor Pro Tem Bryant Ward, this meeting is yours.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening. Welcome to our council meeting for December 13th, 2022. If you will all, we're going to call this meeting to order at 6 p.m. Mr. Clerk, will you do the roll call?
Yes, Madam Pro Tem. Councilman Goldsmith. Councilman Trollinger is not here. Councilwoman Bryant Ward.
Present.
Councilman Jenkins.
Present.
Mayor James.
I'm here.
Madam Pro Tem, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Will you all stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Council members, have you had an opportunity to review the meeting minutes for November 22nd, 2022?
Yes.
Are there any concerns with the minutes? Do I have a motion to approve?
Madam Pro Tem, I would make a motion to accept the minutes of November 22nd, 2022 as presented.
Do I have a second? It's been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, may I have a vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The meeting minutes have been accepted as presented. Mr. Clerk, is there anybody that's signed up for public comment?
No one has signed up in person or online for public comment.
Is there anyone online that would have anything to say? Now is the time. If you are in the incorporated town, state your name and if you live in the incorporated town. Hearing none, we'll move on to the La Plata Police Department monthly updates.
We submitted our, good evening, council. We submitted our report in advance. I didn't know if anybody had any questions. The only two things I'd really like to highlight, as we've seen calls for service increase, we're trending about 30% ahead of last year. We continue to monitor a trend in reportable motor vehicle collisions. We did have some significant training and certification milestones last month by our people. We're really hoping for a January and February lull. So our folks can get a little bit of rest and we can kind of get the schedule back together. But there's two things I really wanted to point out. One is the Polar Bear Plunge, February 3rd. Anybody who wants to join us in the chilly Chesapeake, you are more than willing to do so. And we can set you up a sponsorship page or whatever. And the other thing is the Night to Shine, which is February 10th. It's by far the best event I think that goes on in Charles County in any given year. For those not familiar, it's a prom for our special needs community. To watch the smiles on their faces as we interact with them is extremely priceless. Whether you want to be a greeter, a friend who spends time during the event with the guest, no matter what it is, you're going to walk away feeling good and with a big smile on your face. So those were the only two things in the report I really wanted to draw to attention, but I'm glad to answer any questions.
Council, any questions? Chief, I did have questions on your, if we go to the October calls, they are significant outliers for the month of October for 2022. And from 2019 to 2022 is the same, outlier. What happened in October?
October just tends to be a busy month for us. One, it has 31 days. Two, you have Halloween and the parties that lead up to Halloween. And I think our traffic enforcement was up a little bit during that time as well. Those count for calls for service. I'm hoping that October is a blip on our radar screen. We kind of came back down into that 1,400
Mhm.
number in November, but historically, October is one of the busier months for our
Okay.
agency.
Okay. And so it wasn't for hotel calls because I saw that.
No,
calls and-
we don't have a common denominator.
Okay.
Just other than it historically is a pretty busy month.
Okay, thank you.
Chief, quick question for you. Since this is our last meeting of 2022, how many new police officers have you sworn in, and how many are in the academy that we can look forward to becoming part of your great team in 2023 so far?
Well, you tested my memory there, Mayor, but I have two in the Anne Arundel County Police Academy right now, the Jacobs. I have a young lady, Mary, who's at the station awaiting to hopefully enter the Anne Arundel County Police Academy's next class. We swore in Ken Harvey and Kaylin Career this year. There may have been one other, but those are the ones that come right off the top of my mind of who we brought on board this year.
Fantastic. So it looks like we're going to start off the year with maybe 3 new police officers. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Chief, does that help with the scheduling during this time of the year, having the 2 new, I would say it helps with the scheduling and the rest?
The police academies now are 7 to 9 months long, depending on which one they go to. And then they have 16 weeks of field training. And then they're out on their own. But I believe the 2 that are in Anne Arundel graduate in April. So they'll be ready to hit when the summer heat comes in, and we tend to pick up for calls for service. And we're always looking for good, experienced police officers. I think we have 1 or 2 in background right now.
But the 2 that you just recently sworn in, they're helping the schedule and helping
Yeah.
staff get rest.
Kalen is out on his own.
Okay,
And Ken finishes up field training the end of this month.
great. Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Dr. Harrington, if you are speaking, you are still muted.
My apologies. Hear the audio there for a minute. I don't really have too much to point out. I'm happy to have. Sorry about my cats. If they're speaking, I don't hear anyone.
Oh, well.
Yeah, you dropped off. Last I heard was cats.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't hear if anyone had any questions. I don't have anything in particular to point out.
I do have one question, if I might. Councilman Jenkins, Ward 4. I noticed in last week's progress report that I believe it was stated that the traffic warrants have been satisfied to the state with respect to the intersection of Charles Street and Willow Lane and the entrance to Pine Grove. Is that an accurate statement? And if so, what does that now mean if they've met the warrant for a signal?
Ms. Harrington, I believe that was part of my submission to the weekly report. So Ms. Harrington may not be aware of it,
Okay.
but I'm sure she read the weekly report.
I'm sure.
Yeah, it's my understanding, as we are well aware, the council decided they wanted to send a letter. Prior to sending the letter, Jamie Kendricks with Mead and Hunt, who of course we use as a consultant for various projects with State Highway, wanted to reach out one more time and talk to them. And in talking to them, they indicated that yes, as part of their last evaluation, indeed it had met the warrants. So Jamie was trying to, well, what's the next step in the process, sort of trying to lead them down the path to make sure it met the warrants, but it then goes quiet. He wants them to continue on through that process to ensure that it gets installed from the jump as opposed to waiting.
So thank you for the clarification. So so is there in some hope as to we might get some sense of a schedule when, in fact, that the signal would be designed and installed, or is that too much to ask yet?
I think that was what Jamie was pushing for. I think I don't know if it's been designed, but the warrants have been met. So he wanted to make sure that the process continues on from there, other than the fact saying that they checked all the boxes and, we'll come back to this at a later time. He was trying to press them on what's the next step to get this light in sooner rather than later.
Thank you.
Therefore, the letter did not go because our understanding was that it was not needed.
Any more questions? Madam Mayor?
I'm fine, thank you.
No problem. Next, we move on to the Operations Monthly Report from Director Stahl.
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. I had several things that I wanted to point out. I'm sorry that I am not there. I am actually coming through White Plains. I was in the Chesapeake Water Environment Association. I was asked to speak at that today, and my time to speak was 3 to 4. So I didn't get out till 4 o'clock, and I am now just coming through White Plains. It's been quite an interesting trip home, but I will be there in a few minutes. The big thing that I'd like to point out is that tomorrow, between 10 and 11, we are expecting the delivery of our 2 new trash trucks. So they're going to be delivering both new trash trucks tomorrow, and we're excited about that. And it does look like we will be able to add our 3rd route right after the first of the year. So we're excited about the new delivery, and that was very positive. As you all are aware, we've been doing quite a few water main and stormwater repairs in town. The big one we did today, we repaired a stormwater pipe over in Hawthorne Green. And the interesting thing about that was that we had called Verizon because we were fairly certain that it was from Verizon damage to our pipe. And sure enough, when we dug it up today, the pipe had been drilled right through, and that was what was causing the sinkhole in the street. So we spoke to Verizon on the phone. They asked us to send over pictures, and even though we had sent them pictures showing this, and we thought that it was their problem, obviously they told us it wasn't their problem. So when we called them today and told them about it, they wanted to see more pictures. But we will be definitely sending them the bill for this project today. So it was we were able to fix the pipe, but it was clearly from Verizon drilling through our pipe. A lot of the other things that are very positive, I think that I would point out that over in Agricopia, at the end of Pollen, the development has started in Section O for Pine Grove. So if you're hearing things about um, that the designated construction routing for that is Agricopia Drive to Wheatfield, and then up to Pollen, which is the shortest route through there. I did speak to one of the people in the neighborhood today, and the one complaint was that he was seeing truck traffic before 7 a.m. And I will get with Brian George from Horton tomorrow to ensure that they are aware of the 7 a.m. start time. But we really haven't received a lot of complaints about it, and it is a challenge because the edge of that section is literally right in Kings Grant, basically. So we're working on that. But other than that, I will ask for. I'm sorry. The other thing is, we are hoping we're finishing the bridge crossing down today at the entrance to the plant with a big 24-inch line and a 12-inch effluent line that we're putting in. So hopefully, once they finish that connection, they're going to move over to the pump station over in Steeplechase, and they're going to start construction of the pump station. And then as soon as the pump station is finished, then they're going to move back over and do the short section of line between the motel and the Maples over on 301. So we are completely tied in now with the 24-inch line down at the wastewater treatment plant, which is a real positive for us. And hopefully right after the first of the year, we'll be moving over to start some construction on the pump station at Steeplechase. And with that, I just ask if there were any more questions for me.
Thank you, Director Stahl. Assistant Town Manager Minor, your hand is raised.
Just one quick comment to the construction traffic through Agricopia. There is some Facebook chatter about that, so at least we can address that now and try and squelch any issues that may arise. But there was a little bit of chatter about that today on social media.
Okay. No, I appreciate that, and I go over there every day to just check on them. It is very difficult because there's, we're actually trying to not let the trucks really go into the site. There's really hardly any room to even go in there and turn everything around because they're clearing everything at this point. And so there's very little room. We've tried, they when they come up Wheatfield, we ask them to turn to the left on Pollen and then back into the site. But we want to keep the traffic that's going out over the road out of the mud, and keep it right on that construction entrance right there. So they're loading timber very, very close to the to Kings Grant development. And they've literally are just now clear. The whole site was totally wooded, and there's a lot of timber that has to come out of there in order to do that development. So it's a little bit of a challenge, but so far, I think things have been fairly reasonable. I did hear the one complaint today about time, and as I say, I'll be in there again tomorrow to check on things.
Michelle, your hand is still raised. Did you have another question?
No, ma'am. I'm trying to figure out how to lower that. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, you have a question?
I do. Thank you very much. Congratulations on getting those trucks, Director Stahl. That is so exciting. My two questions is, with Verizon drilling through, do they not have to go through Miss Utility in order to put in any of their lines? And the other question I have is the same that I had for the chief. How many new employees were you able to hire this year, and what's looking like that on the horizon for 2023? Thank you.
I would say two things. One is they are required. Number one, they have to do a utility permit with us. Two, they are required to do a Miss Utility locate. However, stormwater lines are not generally located by the Miss Utility locating. They have been things where, to be honest, you can stick your head down in the boxes. They can pull boxes and do those kind of things to be able to look to see where the storm drains run. We're happy to share our drawings, but we do not actually go out in the Miss Utility system. They don't consider storm water as an actual utility, even though we operate our system as a utility. So we haven't put that in Miss Utility yet. It certainly would be a good idea to do it, because we've had quite a few instances where either Verizon or Comcast have drilled through our lines. So it's certainly a good and valid point, and I'll have to keep working on that. The answer for the numbers specifically, Mayor, and I apologize because I don't, just like the chief, I don't have those exact numbers. We did lose 2 employees last week that turned in their resignations, Brandon Lynch and Jordan Lancaster. Brandon Lynch was a probationary employee, and he just decided to move on to other ventures. We were very sad with Jordan. He's a very good, smart, and valuable employee, but he took a job with DC Water, and he's going up to DC Water for a salary that we can't consider to match. And so these are one of the facets that we face. He had gotten his license, and so we were pretty certain that he was going to move up. And we just have to understand that we're going to lose some people. That makes 10 employees that we have that have worked for us who are now working for DC Water or WSSC. So it is a little bit challenging for us in that rate. I will get those numbers to the council, the exact numbers that we have as to how many hires we've had and how many people that we've lost throughout the year, and provide that as information, because anything right now, honestly, would be a guess.
Thank you.
Councilman Jenkins.
Thank you again, Councilman Jenkins, Ward 4. Getting back to the truck traffic that would leave Section O of Pine Grove and through Agricopia. Will there be, hopefully there won't be any damage, it's just damage to the roads themselves. Is there any provision that if there are, the developer will be liable for those expenses to repair roads if necessary?
That is my understanding in that situation, that they would have to do that. It is clearly, and for the most part, on most streets like that, they would be responsible for putting a topping on there if the roads were damaged. Of course, that's why, for instance, when there's construction traffic, most of the time the developers don't put the final coat of asphalt on until after the construction traffic has ended. In this situation, of course, they're having to work on an existing road, and I think we certainly have plenty of flexibility with them to require them to do and fix anything that they might damage.
And then I assume that the trucks will be covered if they're hauling debris out, so they don't spill stuff on the road or there's rocks and debris falling out of the trucks.
That's correct. Yeah, that's actually law to require them. The big thing they're hauling out of there right now is timber. They're hauling all of the logs out of there. So it's the large log trucks that are coming in and out of there today. Very little in the way of material hauling in yet, because basically the entire site is being timbered. So there's quite a few logs that are being hauled out of there at this point.
And then probably not your bailiwick, but hopefully they know the speed limits within a residential community by truck traffic is what, 25 miles an hour?
Absolutely. Every town street is 25 miles an hour. So until they get out to 488, the speed limit is 25 miles an hour. And we've made that very, very clear to DR Horton.
Thank you. And then just, I guess, a follow-up question, I guess, to either Director Harrington or the town manager. Since they're timbering this particular site, I assume they're going to go back in and do all the necessary reforestation, landscaping, and buffering that's required for that particular section? I asked the question because I'm sure there's going to be questions from the community, what's going to happen to the site after they haul all that timber out?
This is
I'm just
Director
trying to see.
Harrington. Can you hear me?
Yes.
But yeah, so they have an approved forest conservation plan and grading in place. So as part of the clearing work, they do have to install their sediment and erosion control and forest conservation signage to show where they're protecting the trees. So that will be part of the initial clearing and grading that they'll be doing on the site.
And is there a way for us to inform the community that that's happening and these are the follow-up steps that will happen so Agricopia understands that? I mean, can we publish the information about what they're doing and what's going to follow after that with respect to landscaping and buffering and all the requirements? So the community knows that somewhat in advance. Is that possible?
I have the information on the development updates webpage, but
Right.
I don't have any. But I guess my question would be, if we do that for this project, do I have to do that for every single project?
Well, my personal
I don't
opinion would
have
be
the-
yes, but because this is a huge impact on an existing community and,
I know
but
a communication was developed by Horton for the neighborhood that will be impacted, which of course is Agricopia. We're directing, I think all complaints should come to the town hall so that we can adequately
Okay.
address them and there's a consistent message on the floor. So if you receive inquiries, I would advise you to send them to our way
right.
so that we have a consistent messaging.
Well,
We
that's not
ran
my
that-
ward, but yes.
Yeah, we ran that through our PIO as well.
Okay.
What Horton had communicated and is communicating to the Agricopia neighborhood, I guess through their HOA. Janine, I'm not sure if if you know what avenues they use to get that message out.
Yes, they are using the Agricopia HOA.
Great.
And I would just point out that I have very specifically myself
Mhm.
spoken to the president of the HOA, which is RJ Earnshaw,
Right.
and talked about this as a whole. There was a meeting between us, DR Horton, and RJ Earnshaw about this as well. So and Director Harrington and I did meet with DR Horton. We designated a very straight construction route, which was Pollen, Wheatfield, Agricopia Drive. So they do have a designated construction route in this. I think the town has been very upfront with the homeowners association and was trying to work with them. It is, I will say, still controlled by the developer, which is the Earnshaw family. So they're still very involved in that. But he was planning, as far as I know, he put out a notice to the community about this from the HOA. So.
Thank you all for that encouraging news. Thank you.
Councilman Goldsmith? Okay. Director Stahl, so when we pay for these licensing, is there anything in our employment agreement that says if we get a license for you that you have to work 6 months to a year? I think, we need to revisit that if not, because we continue to have this same issue. We get individuals licensed and certified and then they leave to greener pastures. But if you're going to outlay that type of cash for training, there should be something that, requires them to stay for a certain period of time.
There's a requirement in the licensing, even though they go and take the test, which is, cost, they do have to spend 3 years in order to be able to get their actual license. So they have to work for us for a period of 3 years in order to be able to do that.
So did this happen in Jordan's case?
Jordan's actually been with us longer than that.
Okay.
We brought him over. He did not actually get his wastewater license. He got his CDL.
Okay.
And he was able to drive a truck for us. He substituted in as a
Okay.
trash truck driver, that kind of thing. But You know, this was actually interesting. This is part of my talk today to the CWEA, and that is we have to understand our place. And our place is we're the smaller utility and we're really our training ground. And so we can't afford to pay what WSSC pays. We can't afford to pay what DC Water pays. And so ultimately there will be people on our staff who want to stay for the amount of money that we do pay, but we really can't be critical of people who want to move up and don't mind driving up the road. You know, I will say this, Jordan went up the road for a very good salary, which was about I think it was $25,000 more than what he makes here. And so it wasn't something where I was critical of him in any way. I certainly wish him the best. I'd like to think that if he got tired of the commute, that he would come back to us. But we also understand too that one of the good things that we've been recruiting, John Yates, Brandon Yates, even Brandon Lynch, and we have another new gentleman that just started to work for us that we're all friends with Mike Templeton, who worked for us and who does work for DC Water now. Does he recruit for DC Water from us? Yes, he does. But he also provides us with some good people who are very interested to learn and to work with us. And all of them have been with us 3 years, 5 years, longer periods of time. And so, you know, and then we have other people like JB, James Brown, has been with us for many years, and he doesn't want to commute. He lives in St. Mary's County and he doesn't want to make the commute, and he loves it here. He provides us with great service to the town of La Plata and is a wonderful employee. Justin Roberts is another one who's both of them are licensed operators, and they just don't want to commute up into the Washington metropolitan area. And so they'll stay with us. But some of these younger guys who really want to go out there and, you know, hustle and make it, we want people to understand too. And I've come to find out, although sometimes it's bad that we, you know, just as we get them and they become really good operators, you lose them. But you kind of understand, and that's the way I feel, is that I'm kind of understanding that we can't afford to compete with DC Water and WSSC. And the only thing we can offer is we offer a very good salary. We offer good benefits. We're comparable to the county. What would worry me, and I think would be really worrisome, is if we were losing them on a regular basis to the county. In this case, we're losing them to DC Water, and that's sad.
So Director Stahl, there is no criticism. I do commend anybody who wants to move up, but it is a problem. We are not a training ground. We are not a training ground for DC Water. I don't agree with that. And I think that if we get individuals who come here and work for us and we pay for their training of any sort, there should be a time period for which they have to stay with us. That's not unusual, and that's not a criticism, and it's not us trying to prevent them from moving forward. But you've stated it in the past. We've had individuals that came, got their licensing. I remember the young gentleman last year who did it and he moved on. That's not a good feeling. Then we turn around and we invest in somebody new. We get them licensed, we get them certified, they move on. We're not a training ground and we can't afford to continue to pay those type of fees for them. So it's not a criticism. Let me finish. It's not a criticism. I'm saying we need talented staff to be trained, especially up under you and JB, to stay here because our town is growing and we want quality staff.
Right.
And that's my thought. It's not a criticism. It is, we can't afford to continue to pay for those fees. I won't do it. You know, I just don't think that's right.
I understand. And
Okay.
listen, I wish that we could be, we are competitive now, and I really appreciate what the council did with having the salaries survey and to increase salaries to where we were more competitive with the county. I haven't come to you and said I've lost somebody to the county. I think we're certainly more competitive in that situation. It's a little more difficult up there where, you know, they're offering starting salaries at $35 and $40 an hour. You know, I just don't think we have that. And I hear you on the other side of the coin, and that's why there are licensing requirements that they have to work for a certain period of time. So even if they came over and on day one passed the test, they still have to work with us for 3 years
Okay.
before I sign off.
Okay.
And so there is that requirement,
Okay.
and I hear you, and I think it's good.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and wastewater is almost like an apprenticeship. You know, they have to work for the organization. So we are, you know, enjoying their labor while they work towards sitting for this exam. The exam is sort of typically at the end, but they can take it whenever. Whereas I think Ms. Miner is investigating maybe something with CDLs, similar to what we do with the police department.
Yeah.
That if the town does invest in you and you are able to acquire a CDL, that you will owe a certain amount if you choose to leave the organization. So we are investigating that currently.
Thank you. I
Mhm.
appreciate that. Any more questions for Director Stahl?
Thank you.
Thank you. Legislative Services Interim Director Phipps.
Good evening, Madam Mayor Pro Tem and Council.
Are there any highlights for us from you?
I'm sorry,
Do you have any highlights that you would like to bring?
I do not have any highlights.
Do you have any questions for Director Phipps?
No questions.
Madam Mayor?
Nope, I'm good.
Legislative Services is fully staffed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And this moves us to matters of council discussion.
Yes. Madam Mayor Pro Tem. First up, 4.1, we have LPPD photo enforcement with Chief Schenner.
I neglected to name two folks, Sheldon Miller and Steve Kelly graduated from the Anne Arundel County Police Academy as well. Steve moved on to Queen Anne County, but Sheldon's doing a very good job for us. As the council's aware, the department's been investigating the possibility of utilizing speed photo enforcement as a tool to address the #1 quality of life issue that we receive complaints about at the police department, and that's speeding. There are several vendors that offer speed photo enforcement services. As the agency did its investigation of potential vendors, one vendor continuously came recommended by our allied law enforcement partners. That was Conduit State and Local Solutions. Conduit provides speed photo enforcement services for the Baltimore, Montgomery, and Prince George's County Police Departments, the Maryland State Highway Administration, and they have an umbrella group that operates under the Howard County Police Department that also, under that umbrella, operates the Charles County Sheriff's Office, Greenbelt Police Department, and many other municipalities, especially in Prince George's and Montgomery County. Although being part of an umbrella group is appealing to us, it was determined the best course of action for our agency was to piggyback on the Prince George's County Police Department's current contract that was part of a request for proposal and as part of a competitive bid process. While interacting with Daniel Said, he's the account manager for Conduit, I requested speed surveys be performed in areas that met the Maryland Traffic Article 21-809, which governs speed photo enforcement in the state of Maryland. I provided the data of a few of the surveys in the memorandum that the council has. The test cameras were on site for 2 days. I think my memo said maybe 2 to 5. I firmed up today that each one of the data that you see was a 2-day time frame. And those cameras were operating from 6 in the morning till 8 o'clock at night, just like they would be if they were working for us. As you'll see that the results vary. In the 5900 block of Radio Station Road, there was 3 violations in 2 days. In the 100 block of Port Tobacco Road, there was 522 violations in 2 days. And in the Charles Street near Ellenwood Drive, there was 1,300 violations in 2 days. Conduit's technology utilizes court-proven and tested and accepted light detection and ranging technology that's commonly referred to as LiDAR. Most of us are familiar with radar that sends out sound waves and the sound waves come back. If you know time and distance, you know speed. LiDAR works the same way, except it shoots a laser. So it's a little more accurate within statistically, I forget the definition that they use, but it's extremely accurate and court tested. Since the program is designed to be a safety program, the agreement allows us to, as written, 4 cameras to rotate to different places in the town. If you follow the Charles County Sheriff's Office Facebook page, a lot of times on Sundays, you will see speed cameras will be located at X, Y, and Z. That is required by Traffic Article 21809, those notifications. We would do the exact same thing, and it's the same vendor. So when they're in town switching things for the Sheriff's Department, they can move cameras for us as well. The program, if adopted, has several requirements by the law. The first is a 30-day warning period. And during that 30-day warning, Conduit does not charge us for any of the cameras or the equipment. After that, it moves to the second phase where citations are issued. Citations by law are issued when a vehicle is traveling 12 miles an hour or more over the speed limit. The citations are civil in nature and come with a $40 fine. Each citation will be viewed twice by a Conduit employee prior to being sent to the La Plata Police Department for final approval. It's important to know that the final approval must be done by a sworn police officer. Our druthers is when we have officers, we currently have an officer on light duty, that would be their duty. Part of their duty during the day would be to do the speed cameras. We would train everybody in the agency on how to do it. My understanding from talking to other allied law enforcement partners and to the vendor at Conduit, that it's about 98% of the time that when the citation is received after the 2 reviews by the Conduit employee, that they're found acceptable, everything that needs to be there, where you see the photo bar, the speed, the light, all those sorts of things. So 98 out of 100 times that citation will go out. The law also requires the agency to attend training on speed photo enforcement held by the Maryland Police and Correctional Training Commissions prior to the implementation of a speed or red light photo enforcement program. Currently, we have 4 employees at the police department who have attended the training taught by Chief Rob Liberati. He's the chief at Landover Hills, but he's a retired major from the Prince George's County Police Department, and that came under his command. So he's a phone call away should we need anything. The training, I would say, is very dry, but it was very informative. If you speak to your counterparts at the Maryland Municipal League, you may hear them talk about speed photo enforcement, and they're able to put cameras in places that we cannot. The law carved out exceptions for the counties of Montgomery and the counties of Prince George's. We're hoping that sooner or later, some of those carved out exceptions will come to other counties. But just so you'll know, so if they say, we have it on Indian Head Highway and it's not within a mile of a school, those were carved out specifically for Prince George's County by the people in Annapolis. The law requires the agency report each year about the number of photos that were taken and funds that went in and how the excess funds were spent by the organization. That be handled by our administrative division. The cost of the contract for 4 cameras is $3,349 per month per camera, or a total of $13,396 per month for 4 cameras. Conduit will receive $4 per credit card charge, and I firmed that up with Daniel Saeed after we spoke, Councilwoman Bryant Ward. For us to hit the cost neutral point, to include, this does not include my officer staff time, it would require 372 speed violations per month, or 17 per day, or 1.2 citations per hour. And that's for the total program, not per camera. So we would need 1.2 citations to break even. In the 2021 report of the state of Maryland to the governor's office on speed monitoring systems used shows that there are 43 jurisdictions currently utilizing speed photo enforcement. 2 of the 43 jurisdictions with speed monitoring systems posted a net loss, Chevrolet and Tacoma Park. Everyone else had at least a cost neutral, but some were netted more money than others. The terms of the proposal from Conduit is for 3 years with 2 one-year renewal options. The speed photo enforcement program is a way to help us address some of the quality of life issues that are going on in the town. So that's kind of an overview. We've been on this since 2014. One of my folders here is from when the Montgomery County Police Department came, sent their entire traffic team down for a week to help us. So are there any questions I can answer?
Council, are there any questions?
Something we have to do for safety purposes.
So I have one question.
Go ahead.
Explain the 1.2 citations. Is it 1.2 citations?
It's mathematics. It's just mathematics. It's the,
Per hour.
we would need 17 photos per day
Right,
or 1.2 citations per hour.
per hour.
Per hour.
Okay, I was like, wait a
Yeah,
minute.
yeah. If I said day, I apologize. It was 1.2 citations per hour,
And that's only between the 6 a.m. to 8
8
p.m.
Monday through Friday.
Right. So weekends are
1.2 per hour. I don't have a calculator. Do the math. How many is that?
1.2 per
6 to
hour
8
times.
is-
372 speed violations a month.
Got that, but how many citations?
Yeah. it
1.2
says
an hour, and it's operating from 6 to 8 PM.
That brings you up to about 17 per day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, 17 citations per day.
Right.
Okay.
I
Thank
think that
you.
that, and you know, we dealt with this in Greenbelt. Once we began the program, we saw about a 60% reduction. So talking to the vendor, and one of the things, I want to make sure that whatever we bring is at least cost neutral to the
Mhm.
town.
Mhm.
The vendor doesn't see any reason why this won't be a little beyond cost neutral for us.
And you stated that we have 4 trained officers already. Do we have to have any others trained, or is it everybody in the police department has to be trained?
Once we get the system up, we will have everybody trained on how to approve a citation, all of our sworn staff. So, like I said, if we have somebody on light duty, they've been injured or for
Right.
whatever reason, they'll be assigned to that task. The midnight team between 4 and 6 in the morning, they may come in and have to handle some citations. The 4 of us that are trained are on the management of the overall program, understanding what traffic article 21809 tells us that we have to do and how the program has to be managed.
Okay.
So I've been to it. Ms. DeSoto has been to it, and Lieutenants Bagley and Payne.
Okay.
And we're going to send Lieutenant Norris to it.
And who pays for the training?
It's free.
Okay.
Yeah, it's from the Training Commission and it's virtual, so the training itself is free.
I'm good. Councilman Jenkins?
Thank you, Councilman Jenkins, Ward 4. Thank you for bringing this forward. I was impressed by the fact that they did those different locations. Because I remember seeing one of them one time driving down Route 6, that's past 488. So that's very helpful. So what is the funding source for this program? And is it in your budget? Is it ARPA? I mean, what's the source? Of
I think
funding?
the funding source, and I'll defer to Brent on that, but we did not budget that. We didn't know when
Okay.
this was going to kick in.
Right.
We hope, the idea is this is going to be beyond self-sustaining.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
so.
And then is it fair to say that despite what, there's been a lot of press over a number of years that this is strictly a money venture, but in your opinion, this is for traffic safety to reduce accidents and deaths? Is that a fair statement?
It's not my job to bring revenue to the town.
Right.
It's my job to
Bring
make
safety.
recommendations for safety. I think all of us in this room have had our ears bent about speeding.
Mm-hmm.
The law is written for counties like here in Charles to pay special attention in school zones. Those cameras have to be within 1 mile of school zones. And in the document that I prepared for you, I put the school that was there, that was close by, that would be hopefully positively affected by this camera.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I know Councilman Jenkins from the email that we got from the lady who lived in
Right.
Clark's Run.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
This would hit right where she was complaining.
Yes.
And there's no doubt, we put our own speed trailer there and we put our officers there. And
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, if our officers are on calls, they're not able to go run radar. And
Mm-hmm.
the other thing about being able to rotate these cameras, it doesn't always mean they're going to be in the place that's going to generate the most revenue. They're going to be in the places where it's going to remind people they need to slow down and be safe.
That's the point I'm trying to get you to say.
Yeah.
And I think part of the package that you submitted is an excerpt of a study that says photo traffic enforcement does work.
Yeah, that was from the CDC. And I was amazed. I can't say I was amazed. It surprised me that came from the CDC and not from NHTSA, or there's other articles out there. But because it really spoke to me that the CDC says this is a way to drive down injuries from speeding related collisions.
And then several years ago, and I'm not sure I still have it, but I recall Maryland Department of Transportation or State Highway Administration here in Maryland did an analysis of the effectiveness of radar speed control, and it came to the conclusion that it reduces speed and saves lives. I will try to find that just for my own edification, but thank you.
Anytime you can slow a car down, the odds are better for the occupants or the pedestrian that gets struck.
Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you so much for pursuing this. I know it's been a long haul on that, and you just said exactly what I was going to say, that it is a traffic calming measure, and we're all about that. And I did a personal experiment on Route 6 and blew through that one of their cameras, and it makes me slow down every time now. So I contributed $40, took one for the team, and now I know where it is every time. So hopefully people's behavior will change. But thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mayor. And the last comment I have is we have the ultimate say at the end of the day as where the citation is approved or not. They're going to send us what they say fits, but our officer goes, I'm not comfortable with that. It's not going out. We're not going to have a credibility of a program question over $40. It's not worth it.
Thank you. Any other questions for the chief? Thank you, sir. Moving on to 4.2.
Yes, and that is still Chief Shenner.
Yes.
So hopefully he's comfortable. LPPD truck purchase.
If I don't put it back, I'll lose it. So the agency has the opportunity to purchase a used Ford F-250 crew cab pickup truck with a diesel motor, 6-foot bed, cap, and cargo shelving from the Charles County Rescue Squad. The agency purchased a used medic unit from the rescue squad several years ago, found that its maintenance had been kept up and the vehicle to be in very good shape. It has run extremely well for us. For several years, command staff has contemplated asking for a pickup truck during the normal budget and add it to the administrative fleet. However, there was always a need for frontline patrol cruisers, so that never moved to the front of the list. Moreover, we didn't think we needed a new pickup truck for the need that we had. The agency's fleet of pull-behind trailers is not only growing larger in number, they're bigger in size and they weigh more. Currently, the trailers are being pulled by either an LPPD cruiser, one of our officers' personal vehicles, and from time to time, the folks at Public Works are able to help us, which we appreciate. None of the current frontline cruisers utilized by the agency came with the tow package, and there is no tow package option by Ford for the police utility cruisers. Everything that we have installed is aftermarket. The utility truck will have additional responsibilities if we're allowed to purchase it, other than towing trailers. It'll be used for CERT callouts, especially during search and seizure missions and training exercises. It'll assist us in hauling large items of evidence and large quantities of evidence. I don't know how many cruisers we use for the search warrant on the storage bin B&Es to haul all the stuff back. So it's quite a bit. It will assist us in moving barricades, traffic cones, and supplies during parades, walks, sobriety checkpoints, as well as assist us during town and other community events. The vehicle will also assist us with perimeter security as a fixed object, as a barricade during large events to ensure pedestrian traffic safety. We are also short of cruisers. And with what I have, the folks in the academy and people getting ready to go to the academy, I have one spare vehicle. So this vehicle could serve as an administrative vehicle and we could rotate something out to patrol. We have not been able to order this year's cruisers that we have budgeted because the plant shut down. So we're waiting for the February 2023 state contracts to come out. The vehicle has four-wheel drive and has higher ground clearance than our normal patrol cruisers and will be able to patrol the construction sites, preventing damage to our frontline cruisers. The Kelly Blue Book value on this vehicle is $12,670 for trade-in. This doesn't take into account the emergency lighting that's already installed, the cap and the shelving system that is part of the truck. And I have printed out, if anybody wants to see them, like vehicles on the internet, same motor, same size, same crew cab, going in the $18,000 to $20,000 range. The fire department's asking $15,000 for this vehicle, excuse me, and we've asked for some extra money to help get it from being fire engine red to black to fit our fleet. We would think this vehicle has a life expectancy of 7 to 10 or more years, so we would have it for a long time. The agency did not budget this opportunity, so we would probably need some sort of budget amendment. This would be a vehicle to help us continue with our growing mission at the agency. Any questions?
Any questions from council? Any questions, Madam Mayor? I think we just got put on notice that police cruisers will be coming forward at some point.
Well, if we can ever find them.
Okay.
We have them budgeted. We just don't, there's nobody out there selling them right now.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Chief.
To include that portion of the discussion, 4.3 Mary Ball Sewage Pump Station Upgrade, Engineering, Director Stahl.
As you can see before you, we are looking to contract with McCrone to do the design work for our Mary Ball Pump Station upgrade. We received 3 bids, one from Soltez, one from Lorenzi Dodds, and one from McCrone. McCrone was both the cheapest and we felt the best technical application because that's their specialty and what they do. So we brought before you tonight the contract to approve for McCrone to do the design work on the new Mary Ball pump station for $45,000. I think it's $685. And I would recommend that you do that. For just a little bit of background on Mary Ball, we currently have a pump station at Mary Ball, and we have an old pump station at Mary Ball. There are 2 pump stations right on the same area. The idea is to take and upgrade the new Mary Ball pump station, which we put in about 12, 15 years ago, and then also take out the old Smith and Loveless pump station, move the pumps from the existing Mary Ball pump station over to that pump station, and therefore have 2 pump stations on the same site that would both be fully upgraded to our current design of flight submersible pumps. And that way we would also split the flow coming into that pump station. The old Mary Ball pump station pumps out to Washington Avenue. The new Mary Ball pump station pumps out to 301. So we would actually split the flow and not inundate the 301 line with the existing flow. So the idea here was to design it such that we utilize 2 pump stations. The nice thing is with the growth up on our northern end, we would be handling anything in the future. And you start looking at that and you think the whole new commercial shopping center that's up there now, which includes the Audi, which is getting ready to open, I think in February now. And the big part of that is on the backside of that is an apartment project that will be moving forward. There's also Magnolia Gardens. There's also some potential other multifamily development in that area. So all of that has been taken into account in Maryball. I would point out to you that we have money set aside in ARPA funds for these pump station upgrades. And what our intention is to design Maryball. We're also in the process of designing 4 upgrades, Kings Grant 1, Clark's Run 1, Dig Circle, and Patuxent Court. So all 4 of those stations are in the process of design right now. And those are to upgrade the existing Smith and Lovelace stations. What we want to do is get Maryball designed and get a construction contract so that we know ultimately how much additional money we have for the Smith and Lovelace upgrades, because we're using ARPA funds in that and we have $1 million budgeted. And so the Maryball pump station is clearly our highest priority. We want to get that going. We want to know what the construction contract is going to cost, and then we'll move forward with the other Smith and Lovelace. The 6th pump station that we're working on is to actually try to take out the Hickory Ridge pump station and gravity flow that station into the new gravity line, the trunk line going through Pine Grove. So that trunk line is low enough that we could possibly gravity flow through there. So we're also looking at that in the future as well. So that could give us 6 additional pump stations that would all be upgraded to a much more modern standard. So I would ask for your approval to let us move forward on the design.
Thank you, Director Stahl. I have one question, then I'll open it up for council. Why would we take the pumps, the stuff out of the existing Maryball and move it to the other pump station? Why wouldn't we just upgrade, if it works in there, why wouldn't we just upgrade the other pump station and leave the stuff in
the wet well size is the bigger. The newer Maryball pump station has a much larger wet well.
Okay.
And can handle larger pumps.
Okay.
So we would be going to, in the new Maryball pump station, we propose to use 625 gallon per minute pumps in that newer station. And the old station, because it has a smaller, can handle the 325 gallon per minute pumps that are currently in the newer station. So the idea is ultimately we would have 2 very new stations. They could share controls, they could share electric, but there would be 4 pumps there. And it would be for the growth that we're seeing up on that end.
I got you. I didn't understand the
Yes, ma'am.
logic in
Understand.
putting the work into moving it out if it was already working, but you said the well size
That's right.
is the reason.
It is.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Councilman Jenkins.
Thank you. Thank you, Director Stahl. So what do you anticipate the construction to install these pumps at Maryball Station?
You say the dollar amount is what?
Well, no, I mean the
Time.
actual construction.
Our hope
cycle
is to,
schedule.
the big challenge is to get MDE approval for the pump station. This is, of course, all pump stations and all force mains have to
Okay.
be permitted by Maryland Department of the Environment.
Okay.
We are going to desperately try to have this finished by next summer as far as the design and move forward on the contract. It doesn't appear that the pumps, we actually have the 2 new pumps that we
Mhm.
ordered for the
Mhm.
Maryball pump station that are
Mhm.
going in. They were actually delivered very quickly. The turnaround time was about a month. So we were very happy. And we're hoping that that would be the same for the 2 pumps, and so that we wouldn't have huge construction delays like we've seen on other projects. My hope would be by the summer of 24 to have it complete. So that's,
And so that way, obviously, we want to use the ARPA money for that as well. So we want to
yes.
get it obligated so we use it.
A-
Okay.
Absolutely. We're trying to get all of these obligated and trying to get everything
Right.
designed, get them in the process so that we can get all of this money.
And then maybe my geography's off, but there was a Rosebrook Villages, which is so that would go into the Mary Ball. So it's being sized to handle that too or not?
No.
Um,
The Villages of Roswick, which is the old lumberyard
Right, yes.
property,
mhm.
would actually be designed to go down across the railroad tracks and into the trunk line that would go down through Pine Grove.
Okay.
Down to the
Got it.
Willow Lane pump station.
Okay,
So that's my intention on that one, would be to go that direction.
thank you.
Councilman Goldsmith.
Want to
Madam-
congratulate you on looking forward and trying to find economies of scale and trading off these things. So it saves us money in the long run.
We hope.
Madam
Certainly.
Mayor.
Thank you, Bobby, for looking at that and thinking ahead. I really appreciate it. And I know it's for the best interest of the town.
Thank you.
So we heard from Chief Shinner and Director Stahl about 2 items that could move forward to legislation. 3 items that can move forward to legislation. Are we in favor of moving those 3 proposals forward?
I
I'm
I am.
ready. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. First up, we have Resolution 22-36, La Plata Police Department for introduction and consideration of adoption. A resolution concerning, speed photo enforcement program for the purpose of authorizing the town manager to enter into a contract purchase agreement of speed photo enforcement cameras and program administration for the La Plata Police Department.
Do I have a motion to move resolution 22-36 for adoption?
I would make a motion to adopt resolution 22-36 as presented, speed photo enforcement program.
Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Moving forward.
Yes, Madam Mayor Pro Tem Council, Resolution 22-37, La Plata Police Department truck purchase for introduction and consideration for adoption. A resolution concerning purchase of used utility pickup for the purpose of authorizing the town manager to enter into a purchase agreement for the purchase of a 2006 Ford F-250 diesel-powered crew cab pickup truck.
You've heard the resolution for purchase of a used utility pickup truck. Do I have a motion to accept resolution 22-37?
Madam Mayor, a motion to accept resolution 22-37, La Plata Police Department truck purchase.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions?
Just one quick, I guess, clarification. There will be a budget amendment, so that would have to come back to us, some kind of a budget process to amend that.
Yeah, it would be,
Purchases?
yeah, because it is not a budgeted item, it would be funded through the fund balance. So it would require a budget amendment that can take place at a later time. It won't hold us up. Because we have.
But there will be documentation that there's an amendment, a budget.
Oh, it'll come back to council for
Okay.
adoption, yes.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Bear with me. All right, Madam Mayor Pro Tem and Council, Resolution 22-38, Mary Ball Pump Station redesign for introduction and consideration of adoption. A resolution concerning Mary Ball Sanitary Pump Station upgrade for the purpose of authorizing the town manager to enter into a professional service contract for the rehabilitation and upgrade of the Mary Ball Sanitary Sewer Pump Station.
You've heard the resolution concerning Mary Ball Sanitary Pump Station upgrade. Do I have a motion to accept resolution 22-38?
I would make a motion to accept Council Resolution 22-38, Mary Ball Sanitary Pump Station upgrade as presented.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. That moves us to future agenda items.
Yes, Madam Mayor Pro Tem and Council. Of course, we have the strategic planning. Will be coming back to you in January. The cybersecurity update that was requested, I think we're looking at doing that in January. And we hope to be getting you a budget, FY24 budget calendar very soon. We have a number of other topics, but we didn't want to overload the budget with that.
That brings us to new business. Commission reports, Parks and Recreation.
Again, Councilman Jenkins from Ward 4, the Parks and Recreation Commission is not meeting in December, but our next scheduled meeting, I believe, was sent out today. It will be January the 11th. It'll be a virtual meeting at 7:30 in the morning. And just for the information for the council, there was some follow-up information that I forwarded to the Park and Recreation Commission. First, there was, and I also carbon copied the town manager and the assistant town manager, two reports that have come out of Charles County. One is the April 2022 study to extend the Indian Head Railway. They have done an alternative study to see how it would connect with the rail down in St. Mary's County. And one or two of the options would be close to La Plata and our Rosebrook Road walkway. So that's been provided to our commission members. And then during a bicycle pedestrian infrastructure committee, which I'm a part of from the Tri-County Council, Kathy Thompson from County PGM provided a copy of a what they're calling Connect Waldorf. It's a study of how they would connect and retrofit sidewalk connectivity in the Waldorf urban core. That's a pretty interesting report, and talking about complete streets and those kinds of activities. So I also forwarded that to the town manager as well as to the Parks and Recreation Commission. Thank you.
Any questions for Councilman Jenkins? So I have the pleasure of introducing a candidate for Ethics Commission, Ms. Tarina Ali. She was interviewed by myself and Interim Director Phipps. Found to be a wonderful candidate, and I would like to have a motion to approve her for the Ethics Commission as an alternate member.
Yes, sorry I didn't make that interview process. I was unfortunately tied up. But looking at her credentials is amazing qualifications she holds. So I would like to make a motion that we accept her for the Ethics Commission as an alternate.
Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, any questions?
So that would complete the membership. That's great. Terrific.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And Ms. Ali is with us this evening, so she can certainly say hi to us.
Thank you for serving.
Yes.
Keep La Plata beautiful. Councilman Trollinger is not present. Planning Commission, I think that should be me. And I was absent from the meeting, so I have no updates. Upcoming events, Madam Mayor.
Well, first of all, Madam Mayor Pro Tem, you did a fabulous job. So thank you very much for being there and running this meeting. We've had, what a fabulous year 2022 has been. You know, we may not always agree on everything as a council, but that's what makes it so wonderful. So thank you all so very much for sticking to your guns and really expressing what is important to you and the town and how you back it up with facts and figures. So I greatly appreciate that. And I just want to wish everyone happy holidays. I think 2023 is going to be amazing. And to the public out there, continue to reach out to all of us. We all have phone numbers, and I think it's much more productive than Facebook. So I know people have concerns about future developments, and my door is always open. So thank you very much. And I'm giving it back to you to close the meeting out, the last one, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. And we'd like to extend our thanks to you, Madam Mayor, for all that you do in front of us and behind the scenes. We appreciate your engagement in our community and with the town. And I'm going to take a liberty tonight. I really want to recognize Miss Joanne back there. Whenever I show up, I don't care if it's early, late, Miss Joanne is there. I asked Colleen if she needed help on Saturday. No, I've already talked to Miss Joanne. Came out Sunday, 3 o'clock. She was already in a booth serving. Any event, just the support that you give to this town is just really, really appreciated. And I wanted to acknowledge you for that. So thank you. And if there is no other business, I will adjourn this meeting at 7:15.